Hi everyone, today we're making a real special treat, vegan opera cake. Layers of almond sponge cake soaked with a coffee syrup and layers of coffee buttercream and chocolate ganache. Let's get started. Getting started with the almond sponge cake, we're going to measure out our almond milk and add apple cider vinegar to it to curdle the milk and make a buttermilk. In a separate bowl, we're going to combine the sugar, flours, baking soda, and salt. And whisk it together until everything is well combined. Now back to our wet ingredients, we're going to add in vanilla, water, and vegetable oil, and stir that until it's well combined. You'll find all the measurements in the description box down below. Now we're going to pour our wet into our dry, a little bit at a time. I didn't want to make a huge mess on my counter, so I slowly incorporated and added in the rest of my wet. I only made half of the recipe, so this recipe only makes one sheet cake, versus if you use the full recipe, it will make 2 full sheet cakes. Now I'm adding it to a cookie sheet and spreading it out to the corners with an offset spatula. I'm now going to add that to my oven at 350 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes or until set to the touch. Now moving on to our lacy crepes, we're going to whisk all our ingredients together, which is vegan butter, granulated sugar, flour, and a couple tablespoons of aquafaba until we have a thick paste. Then, using an offset spatula, very thinly we're going to smear this mixture onto a baking sheet and bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 to 8 minutes until it's a deep golden color. We're going to allow the lacy crepes to cool and then hand crumble until we have a cornflake-like texture. Moving back to our now cooked and cooled almond sponge cake, we're going to be dividing our sheet cake into 3 even pieces. I've already pre-marked everything out. I just wanted everything to be precise and to have as close as possible to a perfect rectangle as I could make. Here I'm laying them on top just to see that they're somewhat the right size. Now to my crumbled lacy crepe mixture, I'm going to be adding some melted chocolate and stirring it to evenly combine and coat all of my crepes in chocolate. Then I'm going to be spreading that mixture on the bottom of 1/3 of my almond sponge cake. Moving on to the chocolate ganache, we're going to be adding 72% dark chocolate as well as some chocolate chips to a bowl. Then in a saucepan, we're going to heat our coconut cream until it comes to a simmer and then pour over the chocolate. Let it stand covered for 1 minute and then stir it together until completely melted and set aside at room temperature to cool and thicken. For the coffee buttercream, we're going to start out with reduced aquafaba. I started out with 1.5 cups of aquafaba, which I reduced in a pan over medium-high heat to 3/4 cup. In a separate pot, I'm boiling together my sugar and my water to make a sugar syrup because this is going to be an Italian meringue coffee buttercream, one of my personal favorites. At this point, the aquafaba and cream of tartar mixture should be coming to stiff peaks. Once the sugar syrup has reached 240 degrees Fahrenheit, we're slowly going to start adding it to our mixture and continue to whip it on high until cool, and only when it's cool do we add the vegan butter. Otherwise we're going to end up with a big soupy mess and it's going to be really unpleasant. Here you can see the beautiful texture of this meringue, how it's stiff, thick, and glossy. As you can see here, it maintains its shape, and this is exactly what we're looking for at this step. Next, we're going to be adding in our vegan butter, and you want to make sure to slowly incorporate your vegan butter. Otherwise, your buttercream will break and you'll end up with a big soupy mess, which can be recovered, but if you slowly incorporate your butter, then you don't have to worry about this ever happening. So I've cut my butter into sticks and I'm slowly going to add it to my mixture. I also added some vanilla extract, a little bit of strongly brewed coffee, and a little bit of melted chocolate for a mocha kind of buttercream. So in my cup here I have some strong brewed coffee. And to move on to making our coffee syrup, we're going to boil together equal parts coffee and sugar till it comes to a rolling boil, and then we're going to turn off the heat and let it cool together. Now moving on to our assembly / decoration, my favorite part, we're going to flip our almond sponge cake with our chocolate coating face down, then we're going to brush that layer with coffee syrup, followed by a layer of our mocha buttercream, and then another layer of almond sponge cake, and then a layer of ganache, and then a layer of almond sponge cake, and then a layer of buttercream, and then a layer of chocolate glaze, and then we're gonna write opera on top, and I'm in a happy place right now. I'm in a really, really happy place. So the important thing to remember, especially when you do your last layer of coffee buttercream that you'll see coming up, is to get as smooth a finish on top as possible, because you're going to be pouring a chocolate glaze on top. Now I didn't actually show how to make a chocolate glaze, but all I did was combine chocolate chips, melted chocolate chips, with about a tablespoon of coconut oil, melted that together in the microwave so that the coconut oil and the fats in there will prevent it from becoming hard and tempered. Now we're going to be pouring over our chocolate glaze to meet the corners of all sides of our cake. It's fine if it drips over. We're going to cut off the edges anyway so that we have a nice clean finish and you can see all the beautiful layers of our opera cake as it is traditionally made. Now I put this in the freezer for a little bit just to firm up, and I'm taking a hot knife to slice through my cake, and I would recommend wiping it in between each slice rather than doing like I did and just cutting straight down. As you can see, the buttercream transfers to the top of the cake and doesn't leave as nice of a finish, which I should have realized, but I guess I was lazy and I really wanted to eat this cake because it looked amazing, and I was right. Now taking some more of that chocolate glaze, we're just going to write in cursive opera on top. This part is totally optional. You can finish, you can eat it right now, but I like to take a little extra finesse, and I mean, making vegan opera cake isn't finesse enough. Obviously, I have to go the extra mile. So there we go, that's our finished cake. I'm gonna pop that in the fridge or freezer for another 15 to 20 minutes just to firm up so it gets a nice matte look on the chocolate. And I will tell you that these did not last long in my house at all. Didn't matter that they were vegan, they were gone in a snap. So I really recommend trying this out, and I really want to remind you guys that you can have fine dining that's vegan and it's amazing. Thanks so much for watching, and if okay, bye.